Hello and welcome to our special show, Coronavirus Facts versus Myths. I'm Gargi Rawat. This is the show where we get you all the latest on coronavirus, all the latest vaccine news. And do remember, we'll have doctors on the show to answer any questions that you have. So do call in on this number on your screens. Well, let's get you the latest data now. In India's daily COVID death count has hit a grim record with 4,205 deaths reported in the last 24 hours. That's the highest ever. 3,48,421 fresh cases have been added to the active caseload amid the battle against a deadly second wave which has raised global concern. Nearly 30 lakh infections have been recorded by the country since the 5th of May, and India's total death count has passed 2.5 lakh mark this morning. So worrying numbers there. Now, on the issue of the variant that has been found in India, the World Health Organization has said that the vaccines, therapeutics and diagnostics continue to be effective against the B.1.617 variant of COVID. Now, in the United Kingdom, there are worries over the variant first found in India, as cases have been found of that variant and its sub-variants in the UK as well. Professor Chris Whitty, England's chief medical officer, has said that B.1.617.2 could be more transmissible than Britain's currently a dominant strain, which is B.1.1.7. Well, to talk more about this, we're joined by Dipti Gurdasani, senior lecturer, Queen Mary University of London and epidemiologist. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Dipti. Tell us, cases of the variant first found in India have been found in the United Kingdom as well. This has raised concerns. What do we know about this so far? You have said that it's similar to the Kent variant.
So this variant has been concerning for a long time, because what we've been seeing is that in India, the rapid growth of the pandemic or the surge in cases has been associated with this particular variant becoming dominant in many states. For example, Maharashtra, West Bengal and Karnataka. We're now seeing sort of similar trends in the UK. So this variant went from not being present in the UK at all about 4 weeks ago to now forming about 30% of cases in some parts of the UK, for example, London. And that's very rapid spread. What's even more worrying is that our most dominant variant, which is B.1.1.7, the so-called Kent variant, which we know spreads very fast, has been coming down in numbers while this variant has been increasing. And that tells us that this variant is much more fit than even the B.1.1.7 variant, which we know is actually more transmissible. Now, the reason it's more fit is something that we don't fully understand yet. It could be that it's more transmissible than even the B.1.1.7 variant, which we know is already more transmissible than previous variants. Or it could be that it escapes our immunity better or vaccines better, so it's able to spread even in people who've been infected before or have received the vaccine. It's very important that we understand this better, but it's very clear that this is a very concerning variant that we need to keep our eye on and has the potential to change the shape of the pandemic in the UK and across the globe.
Now, Dr. Dipti, we do know that UK authorities are keeping a very close watch on these cases. In the past also, they've been very, watchful of new variants that are emerging. Tell us, where have these clusters been found?
So we don't have the full data on this yet, but we know that it has, for example, been found in care homes where even people who've received vaccination have been infected, and some have been hospitalized, although they've recovered, so not with very severe disease. We know that there's been spread in schools and educational institutions as well. So it seems to be spreading in many different settings, which means that we need to be very vigilant, and because it's so widespread in the community, we need more broad measures to ensure that it doesn't spread even further than it already has. At the current stage, it's actually doubling every 1 week. And if this continues to happen, it will become the dominant variant in the UK within the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Now, the other big worry, of course, is in the treatment and countering the spread of this particular variant. And questions have been raised as to how effective the vaccine will be against this. What do we know?
So this is a really important question that unfortunately we don't have an answer to yet. I think there are concerns that this could potentially have some level of escape from vaccines, but I think we're hopeful that even if the protection from vaccines against sort of infection or symptomatic disease or mild disease is lower, it will hopefully protect against severe disease, because this is what we've seen with other variants so far. So I would say if you are offered the vaccine, please do take it, because it's likely to provide some degree of protection, at least against severe disease.
Now, here in India, we're in the middle of, the second wave with over 3 lakh and on some days even 4 lakh cases being reported. And the longer the virus stays in our population, we do know it will continue to mutate. That's something all of you experts have spoken about.
Absolutely. And this is the problem when we allow transmission to go unmitigated, which is what is happening in India. In India, high levels of spread have been happening since end of February in many states. And what we are seeing is exponential and rapid rise of cases all across India at this point in time. This means, of course, that the virus has much greater potential to adapt and adapt in a way that's more favorable to the virus. It also means, unfortunately, that the serious illness and deaths from this virus will continue for a much longer period until urgent action is taken to contain spread, which is really necessary all across India, not in a single place, because it's very clear that we are seeing rises all across the board.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Deepti, for speaking to us on the show. Well, let's get to our second big topic today. And in India, as the COVID pandemic is raging and it's reaching deep into rural pockets, now an issue that is emerging in many parts is there's increasing confusion being reported between typhoid and COVID, which is often delaying timely treatment. COVID patients often test positive for typhoid and then they don't get the treatment that they need for COVID till it's too late. Doctors say this is due to a lack of rural messaging and also fear of going in for the COVID test. Well, to talk more about this, we're joined by Dr. Trupti Gilada Baheti, infectious disease specialist, and we're also joined by Dr. Lokesh Tiwari. Thank you so much, doctors, for joining us. Dr. Lokesh Tiwari, they're joining us from Patna. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. And this is a very, very concerning issue that is emerging in many parts. First to you, Dr. Trupti, what can you tell us about it and why is this happening?
So what's happening is obviously there isn't enough testing facilities available in the rural areas. And for the sake of doing something or testing something, a lot of times people with fever are asked to get a Vidal test done. And Vidal test is an age-old method to check the antibodies for typhoid. Unfortunately, it isn't a very sensitive test, which means that it gives a lot of false positives. The other problem is with the interpretation of the test. There are certain levels above which the test is called positive, but what's happening in villages is that anything that shows up on the test is labeled positive. And once the test shows positive, people and the doctor and the people start thinking this is typhoid, and all the precautions thereafter are as if it was typhoid. Now we need to understand that both COVID and typhoid present with fever and have pretty similar pictures to begin with. It's important for people to understand and doctors to understand that at this time where we are just dealing with this pandemic all over, the first diagnosis for any fever remains COVID. So all precautions thereafter have to be as if it was COVID, whether it's isolation, management or monitoring. Typhoid isn't that common at all right now because people are following very good precautions with their food, their water, and all those are, so typhoid isn't common at all. The most common illness remains COVID, whatever the tests say.
Right. Dr. Tiwari, if you could also weigh in on this, what has your experience been? And, this point about how people are very fearful to go and get the COVID test, and also the point that Dr. Trupti was making that it's not even available in many parts of, the rural parts of the country.
Yeah, this is very important. And basically, because COVID test at certain points may not be available, many doctors or many healthcare workers may get confused with symptomatology of enteric fever, that is typhoid, with COVID-19. Many symptoms are common with typhoid and COVID, like very weakness and fever, continuous fever, neutropenia. These things may kind of ask people to go for Vidal test, which is very, very less sensitive and less specific type of test, and it can give just a pseudo confidence of getting a diagnosis done. And that diagnosis is wrong when it is a pandemic. At this moment, we are in the pandemic of COVID-19, and any fever, any body ache, any URI or respiratory tract infections, we should first consider COVID rather than any other disease. Typhoid is not a common disease at all right now because of very good protective measures people are taking. This can just mislead people. This can just mislead to a wrong treatment and a pseudo confidence of making a diagnosis. So it is important that COVID-19 testing facilities are made available even in rural areas. And if these facilities are available, then chances of getting a misdiagnosis of this thing can be reduced to a certain extent. At the same time, we healthcare workers or health agencies need to be careful about not asking for these type of less specific and less sensitive tests like Vidal. If typhoid or enteric fever at all is considered, then blood culture is the test that should be done. Vidal has lot of cross reactivity, and just because of an easily available test, we cannot afford to miss the diagnosis of COVID-19. That is more important at this point of time. Although again, there is no reason to get too panic even if COVID is positive or COVID-19 is positive, because currently in most of the patients our outcomes are better. Number is too much, that's why overall deaths are more, but when we come to percent at individual level, then overall chances of mortality or risk of mortality is less than we had been seeing before. But obviously, because this is very highly transmissible strain right now, so overall number is too high.
Right. So interesting point about, the fear factor of testing positive for COVID. In fact, I was reading one of the reports that said people are actually relieved if they test positive for typhoid because they just don't want to test positive for COVID, and they're happy to go ahead and think of themselves as a typhoid patient. So Dr. Trupti, what you're saying and what Dr. Tiwari is also saying there is that this message needs to go out in rural parts of the country where they perhaps don't have enough tests. They don't go in for this typhoid test. Let that not be the first test you go for and rely on.
That's exactly right. I think we need to let the healthcare workers and the population at large understand that as soon as they get fever, they just assume it is COVID, isolate themselves. There aren't any medications specifically for COVID anyways, so all that they need to do is supportive treatment, so treat the fever, treat the cough, but most importantly, monitor the oxygen saturation. And that is one thing that we do not do in typhoid at all, because typhoid isn't a pneumonia and COVID is a pneumonia. So monitoring oxygen saturation is extremely important, because that way we will pick up early cases that need hospitalization or oxygen. And just getting a Vidal positive takes away all those precautions that we would have done otherwise.
Right. And Dr. Tiwari, in fact, we're getting reports even from Punjab and Haryana of these mystery fevers being reported, mystery cases of fevers and people dying. And again, it comes down to, as you're saying, we're in the middle of this massive pandemic. So there should be no mystery and people are just not being able to get tested and, identify these cases as COVID, isn't it?
Yeah, actually, there is no mystery at all. Any fever at this time is COVID. So there should be no mystery. It is pandemic. So any respiratory tract symptoms, any fever, any body ache, we should first consider COVID as the primary diagnosis. And there is no mystery at all. It is COVID. Whether it is tested or it is not tested, whether RT-PCR is positive or it is not positive, first thing to consider is COVID.
It just goes to show the lack of, awareness in rural parts, isn't it, Dr. Trupti? Because even now in UP and in Bihar, in Punjab, we're getting reports of people still thinking that, the cough that they're getting, they'll overcome it. The slight fever they're getting, they'll overcome it. And this is the real danger, which is leading to more cases of deaths, isn't it?
So COVID has seen this entire behavior of denial, where people have a cough or a sore throat and they will say that they had it because there was a weather change or because of the air conditioner or because of some cold water. Everyone understands somewhere that this could be COVID. And this early denial of the diagnosis, in fact, does a lot of harm, because these are exactly the people who will not isolate themselves. So from one, the entire household gets infected. They continue meeting their friends or families, and household after household gets infected. So people need to understand that, especially with the current strain of COVID, we are seeing various symptoms that we had not seen earlier so commonly, like even loose motion or vomiting, which otherwise is common in typhoid. I think that's the other reason why. So anything that is abnormal, whether it's just a backache or a headache, even one loose stool, is COVID until we are sure if it's something else. And there isn't a reason to think of any other disease right now. It's just COVID-19. I
think that is the message that needs to go out to rural parts of the country, to healthcare workers, frontline workers, and in a big way. And we are at NDTV, we're trying to do that. Well, with that, we're going to slip into a short break and open up the program to our viewers, and you can call in and ask any questions that you may have regarding COVID. Stay with us. Welcome back. Well, we're talking about a coronavirus pandemic, and also we discussed earlier on the show how in rural India very often cases of typhoid are being cases of COVID are being mistaken for typhoid. Do call in with any questions that you may have regarding COVID and the entire vaccination process. We have with us Dr. Trupti Gilada there taking questions, and Dr. Lokesh Tiwari as well. We have one caller, Tugal, calling in. Go ahead with your question.
Good afternoon, madam, and for both the doctors, good afternoon, very good. Thank you very much for giving me the chance. Regarding COVID, if now your question typhoid, there is a mistake. A mistake is going on regarding typhoid and corona. If a person is confirmed with corona, and by mistake he has been told that you are by typhoid only, you are getting a fever. If the result, before the result comes, the oxygen level of the patient goes down, the infectious disease is very, very dangerous, very alarming, and within 3 days, 4 days, death is happening. Particularly the younger generation, now the younger generation is most probably affected by the second wave. I am asking why the diagnosing problem with the doctor fraternity, because typhoid is having some symptoms.
All right, so you're asking why this is happening. Dr. Trupti, I know we've spoken at length about this, but he's talking about how this is happening more and more in rural areas, and also about the young getting infected a lot more this time.
So it's happening because we're just testing with the wrong tests. Once if there's fever, the most important test that we need to do is RT-PCR or a rapid antigen test for COVID. And if that isn't available for any reason, or if there is a lag in between for getting that test, then we just assume it is COVID and go ahead with managing the patient that way. He was talking about young people just needing hospitalization within a span of 3 or 4 days. I think what is really important to tell people is that the most important thing that people still forget monitoring is their oxygen saturation. So keep a very close watch on your oxygen saturation at rest and after 6 minutes. Walk. Once people walk for 6 minutes and then they check their oxygen saturation again, one of the earliest signs of a dropping oxygen saturation is the drop in oxygen saturation after exercise or after a 6-minute walk. And that way we are really able to pick up people who are having hypoxia early, and we can then advise them to get to the nearest hospital and take the requisite treatment. So that is one important thing that we really need to tell people.
But for that, if we talk about rural parts of the country, they need to monitor their oxygen and have that awareness as well. We have another caller, Nimish, calling from Bareilly. Go ahead with your question.
Yeah, hi, Gargi. So my question is basically, let's say I got COVID 15 days back and I was isolating in the room, and then my mom got it. So she joined me in the same room in the house, and then my daughter also got it. So we were all isolating in the same room. Now, do we need to quarantine for the 15 days from my daughter joined me, or can we each finish our quarantine time and get out of that room basically? That is my question.
I'm sure this is a very common question because we're hearing of whole households getting COVID at different stages. Dr. Tiwari?
Yes. This is very important question and very pertaining as well. Most of the times the whole household is getting infected, and more likely they are getting infection almost at same time, maybe just at the interval of 2-3 days, but not generally. By the end of 9th day, virus is no more alive, even if you have signs or symptoms of COVID disease. So it is not necessary that sequentially you need to be in quarantine for 15 days and then 15 days and then 15 days. Rather, it is important that if the person is not having fever for 3 days and the duration of from initial symptoms is more than 10 days, then very less likely that now they will be acting as carrier, and they can safely, at least inside home, they can safely come out of their individual quarantines.
All right. So count it as an individual quarantine, and count your days as from the first day and go on to the 10th day, and not have to add each person who tests positive in the household. We have another question from Poojan, another caller, Poojan from Delhi. Go ahead with your question.
Ma'am, my question is that I've taken the first shot of Covishield. Okay, but then, ma'am, what I've learned is that there are many people who are saying that that Covishield is not active against other variants of COVID. Okay, so ma'am, can I go for Covaxin after my second shot of Covishield?
Okay, I'm going to let Dr. Trupti take that. Doctor, I think a lot of people have concerns about the new variant that is dominant now in many parts of the country, and how effective the vaccine would be. But to switch vaccines in the middle, I'll let you answer that.
So there are two parts to that answer. The first thing is that you cannot switch vaccines. If your first dose was Covishield, you have to take your second dose as Covishield. The second concern about the vaccine not being effective against variants, there isn't any evidence of that yet. In fact, we think that both the current vaccines are effective against the variants. It's possible that even after having been vaccinated, people get COVID infection. But the most important benefit of the vaccine is not from protecting you from infection. It's from protecting you from a severe infection, from hospitalization, and from death. And in terms of that protection, both the vaccines are working really well.
All right. And do not switch your vaccine doses in the middle. We have another caller, Matthew from Bengaluru. Go ahead.
Very good afternoon. Can I put in up some suggestions?
Well, go ahead quickly.
Yeah. See, first of what needs to be done, what I feel is that we need a complete lockdown across the country in one stroke to bring the pandemic, which is just rising, to be brought down first up. And the needful should be done for all the poor, some packages to be given so that they can battle it out at least for about a couple of weeks. Parallelly, I wish that the army is put not just on a war footing. The army has to be given the real control of the entire system.
All
and
right,
that's
so you
the
clearly
only
have
way
very
I feel
strong
that we
views
can bring
on
things
what
back.
needs to be done, and I do know a lot of doctors also feel that lockdowns it is the last option, but it should have happened sooner rather than later in many parts of the country. Thank you so much, Dr. Tiwari, Lokesh Tiwari, and Dr. Trupti for joining us on the show today. That's all the time we have. Thanks so much for watching. Goodbye.